Well, it's been about a week. Not a week since launch, but a week since I got my Nintendo Switch, and I thought I would give you some week one impressions of this little bitty device here from Nintendo and kind of how I feel about it after owning it for a week. The novelty kind of has not worn off yet. It's still kind of really fucking cool that I had this tiny ass thing, and this is the new game console from Nintendo. But obviously there were certainly concerns before I got into it when I unboxed it last week. So having now played a handful of hours of The Legend of Zelda and a few other demos on the Switch, my first big takeaway, the first big thing is that I need a Pro Controller. Really bad. And of course, you can't really find one now because they're all sold out. So I'm stuck using this thing that has no real D-pad, and it's kind of annoying. Also, there's a shrine in Zelda really early on where you need to kind of use the motion controls with this thing to maneuver a ball through a little maze, and that's garbage. I don't know if this is using both of the Joy-Cons to kind of, figure out where the motion is, because, when you had the Wiimote, there was just the Wiimote. There was no real, there was no gyro in the nunchuck, so you kind of only... No, it's junk. It's absolute junk, and the fact that you put it on the critical path, it's not responsive enough. It's nowhere near responsive enough to do what you're thinking I should be able to do. It's like, look, I get it. The height of your system sales in the past 20 years, Nintendo, has been the Wii. That thing did gangbusters. That thing had motion controls. But you don't need to shoehorn it into this. Especially, you don't need to shoehorn it into Zelda. And that puzzle, that shrine, was some nonsense. And yes, the solution is to turn it upside down and then have it on the back, and it's easier that way. But my argument is it shouldn't have been in there in the first place. And I can only imagine having to do that puzzle on the Wii U, having had the whole gamepad upside down, the big-ass, gamepad would be very annoying. What the fuck do they do on the Wii U when you're using the Wii U Pro controller, which does not have a gyro in it? I don't know. But speaking of the controller, I have not had the Joy-Con desyncing issue with the left Joy-Con. That has not happened to me, but to be fair, my TV is right here, my controller is right here, and the Switch is right over there. So distance is not really the problem here. Now, I have to bring this over to Grimm's house to make him play Zelda next week, and I would imagine if any distance issues manifest, it might be there, but it's not a constant thing, so it might not happen in the half an hour that I have to film him playing the game. In any event, Time Magazine had an interview with Reggie, the president of Nintendo of America, who said, "We're investigating these claims that the Joy-Con has a poor antenna in the left Joy-Con." So maybe some kind of an exchange program might happen at some point when they realize they done fucked up. But it's still early days, and honestly, once I get that Pro Controller, I'm not going to be using that thing for just about anything. Because really, what else is there to play right now outside of Zelda? Now then, moving on to the screen-scratching issue of the docks. Again, Time Magazine asked Reggie about that thing, and he said, again, "We're investigating." And that at the preview events they had, that had never happened. Now, that's a pretty easy thing to reason out why it would not have happened at their preview events, or why it would not have happened in-house with their pre-production units, because those pre-production units would have been assembled by hand by their engineers. They would have been based on the prototypes or whatever. This type of issue with this bent dock where it's angled a little bit inward might not have manifested until you were actually in full-on production and had units in the hands of hundreds of thousands of consumers. So I'll show you what I've been doing when I'm playing the Switch in handheld mode and not docked. So I'd like to think it looks a little bit straighter than it did last week, and that is purely because I've been taking a DVD and a CD to, help to bend it out just a little bit. Nothing major. I'm not going insane with it, but hopefully just having it stretch a little bit in this direction will help the plastic kind of conform to being straight up like it's supposed to be. And being extremely careful and paranoid, I have not had any issues on either side of the bezel with any kind of scratching, just, a few smudges and fingerprints and whatnot, and that's kind of no big deal. Now, I will say, to their credit, I'm using it a lot more in handheld mode than I thought I would. And a lot of that is because I'm just lazy. It's like I was playing Horizon, I'm still playing Horizon, and that's on the TV, that's on the PS4, that's all hooked up, right? And yeah, I could put the Switch in the dock and then change the input and whatever else, but also I could just pick it up and just play it right here. Additionally, I'll give Nintendo a lot of credit this time for making the Switch region-free, and the ability to go download games from the Japanese or the European store, making those accounts is super easy. And I've made accounts on other systems, Xbox 360 and the PS4 and the PS3 for import stuff, and there's usually a bunch of hoops to jump through. With the Switch, you make the account, you say, hey, this account is in Japan. You don't need an address, you don't need any of that other nonsense. The page is in English, and it just works out fantastically. So I was able to grab a demo for Puyo Puyo Tetris on the Switch, which has a free demo on the Japanese store. It's out in America next month. But considering I don't have a 1-2 Switch, and I wanted a way to experience the HD Rumble, a free demo of Puyo Puyo Tetris was definitely a way to do that. And I might just pick up the localized version of that game on the Switch, but only if I can find a Pro Controller before it comes out. Because there's no way I'm playing any kind of Tetris anything without a real-ass D-pad, and this thing does not have a real-ass D-pad. The only real downside here is that it will put your news stuff in both the English news and the Japanese news, and that's kind of weird, but other than that, I don't really read the news page too much, so kind of who cares? Now, the system itself, the experience, it's so bare bones, and some folks don't mind that. Personally, as a YouTube content producer type person, being able to audio sync my stuff between this camera and the game stuff would be easier if you had a YouTube app or a Netflix app. I can get somebody talking to help sync that up. And I'm sure they'll get there eventually, but at launch, it's real bare bones. So was it worth spending $300 plus to play Zelda both portably and on the TV? I don't know. Zelda is amazing, and if you don't have a Wii U and you're looking forward and not backward, I would say sure, pick up a Switch, pick up Zelda, it's great. If you want to save some money, then get a Wii U and get Zelda. It's the same game, essentially. So here's hoping the hardware issues get ironed out, here's hoping there is a lot of compelling software to play, and here's hoping there's a lot more Switch videos to come on the main channel and perhaps on this channel. I don't know! I'm Attack Slug. Those were kind of my week 1 impressions of the Switch. I think it's pretty fun. I'll see you next time for more videos right here on this channel and on the main channel. I don't know. I'm out. Now it's back on the Switch. I was so glad with the Wii U that it wasn't a thing anymore. Nope. 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 Fuck it. Fuck it. This is garbage.